Are you loving the First Class Live show? Then join our private Patreon community. Not only will you help to support our ability to provide you with great content, but you can also get exclusive perks like bonus videos and resources, discounts, episode transcripts, and more. So what are you waiting for? Join today at patreon.com/First Class Life. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/First Class Life.
Two different experiences. And I'm telling you, dying without money is undignified. It is undignified. So I'm like, I know I'm doing this excellent work. People used to call me an angel. Oh, you're an angel, Jalynn, at what what you do. But I'm like, yeah, but longitudinally, we couldn't stop this. We're all gonna die, but we all should have dignified deaths and experiences, not only for the person that's dying, but for the family members and the people that they're leaving behind. You should see your loved one have a dignified experience, and it comes with finances. And a part of the financial house for the multimillionaire is business and ownership. So I'm like, I have business degrees. I did the research. I understand the characteristics, the psychographics, the demographics of the target audience. I can serve these people. I can ensure.
You're listening to the First Class Life show hosted by Lindsay Vertner, a holistic personal development show for high-achieving leaders who desire to maximize their impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So grab a drink, grab your notebook, and let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the First Class Life Show, and I'm super excited about today's guest, Jalynn Jones. She is the bomb.com. Okay, so this is your personal development show because you desire to maximize your impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. And y'all already know how we do. We're just going to hop right into this conversation. Make sure you have your pens and your notebooks ready. And welcome, Coach Jalynn. How are you?
Hey, feeling good, feeling great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, we are glad to have you here on the show. Now, I know how phenomenal and amazing you are, but I need you to tell the folks, who is Jalynn? Like, peel back the curtains, give us the good tea, girlfriend, because the people need to know who Coach Jalynn is.
Absolutely. And so hopefully this is a little funny to everyone, but I'm a vision to profit business coach. It's a name I made up. I like to think that I am a visionary, and a lot of times visionaries don't know how to implement. So I support with, taking that vision and extracting it from your brain and dumping it inside of a business model. But before I was great at what I'm doing here, I used to be a resume writer, and I used to charge the ghetto price of $14.99. You could get a resume and a cover letter back then. So I'm sorry if you didn't catch me back in those days. I was really good at what I was doing, but I did not understand pricing. So I had a whole bunch of business, but not a whole bunch of money. I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but that's who I am. HBCU graduate, woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha, Atlanta raised, Virginia lived, California lived, North Carolina lived. I have been a Rolling Stone, but I'm definitely enjoying Atlanta right now and just all the beauty that's popping up in this place. It's like we're the new Black Hollywood. So I'm having a lot of fun here, and I'm super excited to be here today.
Nice. So you've been all over the place. Did you move around a lot as a child?
I did. Actually, fun fact about me, a fun toxic fact, I moved almost every year of my life. So like every 1 to 3 years I moved, we'll probably get into that. I think we'll get into that at some point. But yeah, I moved a lot. I have moved a lot in my life.
I want to dive into that because oftentimes we are trying to find our identities, and whenever we move, it's like you have to start all over. So what was that like as a child to have to constantly be moved around, constantly make new friends, constantly find yourself and where you fit in this new community?
That's a great question. So I love the fact that you pinpointed identity, and I never thought about it like that. Like every time you move, it's a identity shift. But that's actually like one of the key things in my business model, even when I teach my clients, is identity. Some people call it mindset. I call it identity. But really, for me, moving around a lot, I felt like was my mom's way of really just trying to make our lives better. So I understood, what, the purpose was. It really was just related to trying to make sure that we were in the best schools, or had the best setting, or lived in the best house that she could find. Although we didn't really have like that ownership, she really did want to make sure that we were surrounded by that. So interestingly enough, most of the friends that I've had, I've kept them even through my moves. So my friends are my family. I have had my friends for a long time. It's very seldom that I lose a friend, so I'm glad that I was able to have that. But I think there was always some point of having to reinvent yourself, having to, get through, the weird part of school with kids and, teenagers that are really trying to figure out who they are too, on top of them already having territory at the school and just having to restart everything all over again. So it was interesting. And at one point, one of the schools I went to was predominantly, it was a predominantly white school. And I was a girl, I wore blue hair for a long time. So imagine predominant white school, dark-skinned girl, very blue hair, even a grill that I got from the mall.
Hey.
Who is that? So I definitely have always been someone that has called attention one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Now, finding our identity, like it can come in so many different ways. And how would you say that making all of those moves as a child helped to find your identity as an adult? Because there are a lot of adults out there, a lot of leaders even out there that are struggling to find their identity.
I think finding identity is an inward development experience. I think a lot of what we try to do is we try to look outward for who we are. We look out into a career. You look out into what standards are that your family has set for you. You look out into degrees. You look out into what's happening on social. You think maybe going to Punta Cana is going to just be a revolutionary self-care experience, but you have to go back home. I think it goes back to what you asked earlier about moving. I think even since I was a child, I decided that home is wherever I am. So I think identity is comfort in who you are, going inward, no matter how far deep you have to go, but not getting complacent with where you are. So I think it's a self-discovery. No wrong or right way to do it. You just have to take action and do it. Committing that time to the inward experience, whether it's through books, meditation, I like to talk to myself in the mirror. That's really dope to me because I realize that I'm actually a human being. I'd be like, I'm a human being up in this. I'm real,
Right. I'm a real boy. Pinocchio.
Humanizing yourself. Sometimes we want to humanize as business owners. I'm sure you can understand this, Lindsay, but we want to humanize ourselves to our audience by doing more lifestyle content. But the even dope thing is when we humanize ourselves to ourselves, like I'm a human being. And I think that's what's important about identity is really just at the basic level, just being and becoming and constantly finding that time to go inward. It doesn't have to be dangerous. It doesn't have to be always about healing and things of that nature, like having fun learning you. That's dope. Yeah.
I love that. Having fun learning you, because it does become an important part of how you move and interact with the world. So what are some tips that you can share to help the viewers out there or the listeners to begin to find themselves?
I would say especially, so I even think like I was born in America, and I think, so for people that identify with being like African American, a lot of times our identity crisis starts there because there's so many different terminologies for like who we are. Are you Black? Are you African American? Are you Afro? Are you Afro Latina? Are you this, that, and the third? Are your parents from here? There's so many identity crises there that I think the first thing is understanding your lineage helps you really know your identity. So I urge anybody to do their ancestry DNA, speak to someone in your family, kind of track things back, learn about your grandparents, kind of understand characteristics of your parents, even if you don't have great relationships with them, because no matter what, energy is energy. I was watching the Kanye West documentary, and the guy that had been following him around for several years, his homeboy essentially, was talking about when his father passed away, it didn't matter because the energy didn't die. It actually lived through him. So for us, like, that's the first step, is your lineage, your bloodline, your parentals, understanding behavior patterns so you can either continue or pattern disrupt. I think it's super important. I think that's like one tip I would say. The second tip is, it's a little weird, but it's going to help. All right.
Hey, we're all for it.
Okay. Reinvent yourself as many times as you want. Reinvent yourself as many times as you want. It's not an identity crisis to level yourself up. So if you find that who you were yesterday doesn't serve you today, shift. Unapologetically make the decision, make the choice. And that's who you are. And so there's times where I may not be the same girl you met on Tuesday. Because one piece of information that I may have received could change my entire life. So the more you put yourself around proximity to the right people that are saying the right things, that have did their inner game work, you will find that your evolution can happen so rapidly that you'll be reinventing yourself as many times as you see fit without changing the core and the nucleus of who you actually, are. You'll just become the higher version of yourself. So those are the two tips that I would share.
Yes. And I love that you brought up pattern disrupt, because we have to think about what are the cycles that we find ourselves in, and what are the cycles of our upbringing, our caretakers and the beliefs that they place on us. What are the cycles that we see in our communities? And is it a cycle that I want to continue, or is it a cycle that I want to stop or disrupt? So tell the people a little bit more about how they can pattern disrupt if it's a cycle that they're like, this life ain't for me. I want something different than this.
This is super important too, especially if you're still around the people that created the pattern.
Well,
disrupting. But honestly, the first thing is you got to know the pattern. It goes back to identity. In order for you to identify, you have to know first. You have to bring awareness to. So sometimes we're scared to go inward because we're scared about what we have the potential to find. But identifying and labeling and bringing awareness is the first step to really pattern disrupting, because many people have patterns that they don't even realize that they have. Oh, I didn't know I did that. Or I thought it was just because I was a Scorpio. I'm a Leo, so I'm the Gemini. That's the only reason why. It's deeper than that. It's way deeper than that. So once the pattern is actually identified, you have to be real with yourself about it. And then you have to decide, what is it that you want to change? Who is it that you want to become? Little quick example. Relationships. I don't know how your love life is, Lindsay. How's your love life?
Ow.
Okay. Life. I'm in a relationship now, but it's really ghetto because it's my first relationship ever. My first real relationship. Most of the men that I was with did not commit to me. So in order for us to really get past the super rough patches in the first 3 years of our relationship, I had to identify what patterns did I have that I still kept when I was attracted to this man, and how do I pattern disrupt so I don't lose myself or this relationship. I think that's super freaking important. And then once you're aware, you have to make the decision to make the people around you know, without making a big announcement hello everybody, effective March 2nd, 2022. It's Wednesday, it's 11 o'clock. I am pattern disrupting. Do not X, Y, and Z. It's not that easy. You have to literally pattern disrupt in the situation. So when someone does something to you, and you can see that it's like cyclical, it's a cycle, you have to be able to identify with them in real time that you cannot engage in the same way you used to engage. You're going to get pushback. You're going to get people that do not respect you. You're going to get all those things. Still decide to not engage in that way. Eventually, the people that love you, they have to adjust. The clients, they have to adjust. Your friends, they have to adjust. So that's what I would say about, pattern disrupting.
I love that you brought that up because it makes me think of toxic relationships. Sometimes we want to hold on to these relationships that are around us. Sometimes we feel obligated, or we feel like we have to hold on, or we don't want to lose what we've had in the past, especially the longer that we've had that relationship, whether romantically or platonically, that works either ways. But it's whenever we start to create those boundaries and maintain those boundaries, then you start to weed out, all right, this was actually a toxic relationship and we don't ever want to let go. So I love that you're like, wait a minute, we need to address this right now. And those that love you will adjust. I say that to clients all the time. The people that aren't willing to adjust, you will notice that they will slowly become less and less in your life, in your space, in your time, less and less phone calls, because you're no longer living up to their benefit. You're no longer living up to the person they desire for you to be, for them, not for yourself. And those that really value and cherish your relationship they might give you a little pushback in the beginning, but eventually they will adjust because, like I said, they value you and your relationship. So, good stuff.
Yes.
Listen, it also made me think of another time about disrupting in the moment and understanding and identifying how our habits and behaviors are translating to every situation, because my previous ex-boyfriend was an abusive relationship, right? And so there were things that I would do that became survival mechanisms. And I carried those over to my current relationship. And he would be like, well, why'd you lie about that little thing? Like, that's nothing to lie about. But in the previous relationship, it was an issue, even though it could have been something as simple as, and this was like really a problem, I'm babysitting. But in the previous relationship, well, if you're babysitting, then that means you don't want to spend time with me. And that would cause an argument because you don't want to be around me 24/7. And so like little things like that, survival mechanisms, and identifying what those look like and how you carry them into new cycles and new relationships. So girl, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes, that was really good.
What is a way that you pattern disrupt in the moment?
In the moment right now, I'm used to being the strong friend. I'm used to being the person that everybody calls to tell their problems to. That's one way is I've decided that I'm not the strong friend anymore. I am not strong. It's not saying I'm weak. Strong is just not a part of my identity. Like, I don't want that to be like, I want people to think like, Jalynn, she's strong. She's the first thing I want people to be thinking about, Now, if I was in a profession where strength, was something that, is revered, that would be different. But I'm a woman. I'm not saying I want to be soft and quaint and whatever. But strong is not the first thing I want people to think about when they think about my name. And that's what I was. I was the person that felt like I needed to be needed. I needed to solve problems. If I wasn't there, the problem wouldn't get solved. Like just Jalynn the builder, not Bob the builder, Jalynn the builder. Just do everything. So the way I pattern disrupt now is just, I decide not to carry the boulders for my friends and for our family members. If you haven't taken the necessary investment to solve your problem, then I can't do it for you. Now, if there's a danger, that's different. But sometimes we're not even in massive danger. The main person that we're in danger against is ourselves. And that's something no one can solve for you. And I realized that a lot of people just want to hear themselves talk. They want a yes man. They don't want somebody that can really solve their problem. I was that person that really just get down with you and tell you, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Or I would give them a great advice. I decided not to be that anymore. The other thing I do in pattern disrupting is I know how to correct myself without beating myself up. I've statistically and historically been very hard on myself. And this is a podcast that attracts high achieving people. So I imagine that y'all too. You're hard on yourself, and you're harder on yourself than anyone else. No one has to crucify you because you done already put the nails in your hand. You done got up on a cross. You done did all of that and beat yourself up so bad about something that you defeat the opportunity to pattern disrupt. So I know that I'm in this season where I'm becoming so self-aware that I no longer make excuses for the things that are really problematic. And with that being, when you're seeing those uglier, darker sides to yourself, it can be not fun. And you can start feeling really down on yourself. But I just do my best to not feel down about it and just kind of uplift with just realizing that awareness is so powerful. Some people literally, I'm going to just revert back to, I'm a Scorpio. I'm an X1. Everybody got somebody in their life that blames characteristics on their zodiac sign. And we can't do that. But we do. We blame things. Oh, I'm from Chicago. I'm from, baby, what that got to do with it? Is it that you're from Chicago, or is it that you just haven't become conscious enough of your patterns to disrupt them? Because they are toxic to the people around you, to your success, to X, Y, and Z, without beating yourself up about it. Like, I think that's the way I'm currently pattern disrupting.
I love it. Or we use factors like that as crutches, as excuses to not do the work. Oh, well, that's just how I am because I'm from Chicago, or that's just how I am because I'm from the South Side, or that's just how I am because I wasn't born with a silver spoon. Like, it's an excuse to not do the work, and we have to call a spade, right?
Absolutely.
Looking for amazing products to help boost your first-class lifestyle? Then head over to firstclasslifeshop.com, where you can treat yourself to personal development books and workbooks, lifestyle affirmation cards, adult coloring books, mugs, notebooks, hoodies, t-shirts, leggings, and more. All products were designed to help you master your mindset, walk in your purpose, and live your first-class life because you deserve it. So treat yourself today at firstclasslifeshop.com. Again, that's firstclasslifeshop.com. Y'all, if you are just tuning in, make sure you got your pen and papers ready, okay? And go back and replay. Okay, so we're going to take a quick little break to play a game. You down for a game, Coach Jalynn? Yes, this game that I like to call First Class Favorites. All right, so let me get up my timer right here. Timer is ready. So how we play First Class Favorites is, it's really simple, okay? You got this in the bag. I'm going to give you a prompt and you're just going to fill in the blank. What is your favorite ... Got it? But you only got 10 seconds to answer. Okay? And our brain gets to putting all kinds of pressure on us whenever we're on the time clock. So we'll see how you do. And for all the first class family out there, feel free to make this a game of however you like. All right. If she misses the buzzer, you got to do a push up or you got to take a shot. I don't care. Whatever your choice. # no judgment zone. Okay. So we're going to start you off with something easy. All right. What is your favorite color? Go.
What if you don't have one? Pink.
Okay. So now you have to explain why you don't have a favorite color. I mean, it could just
I wear all of them. I wear them in my hair. I wear them on my earrings. I love color. I like to wear. I don't want to get too deep, but as a dark-skinned woman, I used to be told I couldn't wear every color. So I said, okay, big bet, blue hair. Blue.
No, I like that. We're going to have to deviate from the game just a moment. Just that goes back to that identity. And you, whether you recognize it or not, made the decision to not take on what somebody else was telling you, which unfortunately, a lot of us do that very thing. All the things that we're hearing from our family, our friends, our supporters, or from work or from business, we take on the expectations of other people. And oftentimes I'm not particularly on the dark skin level, but I have heard that very thing, like, oh, dark skinned people can't wear this, or dark skinned people can't wear that. So I absolutely understand, but you made the decision, like, you're not going to tell me who I can be.
Exactly.
Did you recognize you were doing that at that point?
Oh yeah. I'm a rebel. Everybody going left, I'm gonna be like, I'll go right, and then I'll meet y'all around the corner.
Yes. Okay. Listen. All right. I got one more question with that. Now, in doing that, did you ever have any struggles or obstacles in being that rebel and saying, you know what, I'm not going to take, like, was there ever any inner struggle within yourself?
Oh yeah. Struggle within myself, struggle with the way I was perceived, because when you are not cookie cutter, you don't fit. So that means that everywhere I went, I did not fit, which is socially awkward, which is, it looks like you're disobedient. So then you have a bad rap. Now you're a behavior issue. So it led to me feeling like something was wrong with me because I didn't want to be what people told me that I would be, like even quitting a job. Like I quit a really good job. Like I quit a great job. I could have stayed at this job and anywhere in the country if I would have just been more patient and stayed in California. But I decided to do that with all the statistical things that they tell you not to do. Have a savings, do this, do that. So it leads to struggle inward because it causes like that heightened imposter syndrome. And also it kind of makes you feel like you're going the long way around. But I've always found that like I said, like I'll go this way and I'll meet you all around the corner. I always find that even when you go another way, it proves that there's more than one way to get there.
Oh, did y'all hear that? Even when you go another way, it proves that there's more than one way to get there. Woo, okay, let me get back to the game. What's your favorite food? Go.
I love sweets, so I would go with French toast.
French toast. Ooh, one time I had some really delicious French toast whenever I was in Indonesia. Best French toast ever. And now I feel like nothing's living up to it.
I got to go to Indonesia tomorrow.
Man, okay, look, can I come too? Like, we're just making a girls trip, all right?
Borrow your bag so I can be in it.
Okay. So what is your favorite book, title, and author?
My favorite book is Nice Girls Don't Get Rich. I forgot the author. Let me, my 10 seconds. Nice Girls Don't Get Rich. Ah, dang. Lois P. Frankel.
Got it. We're going to give you that one, though, because you did get the full title out and you weren't sure about the title. So we'll give you that one. What is your favorite place to travel? Go.
Ooh, this is weird, but my favorite place is Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Oh, yep. We talked about that before. Hold on. I started the timer before I got you the question. What is your favorite song? Go.
Return of the Mac by Mark Morrison.
Hey, Return of the Mac. Have a karaoke sing along on the First Class Live show. What is your favorite activity to do to relax? Go.
Cannabis. I like cannabis.
Hey, that is legal, so I don't want no smoke from nobody, all right?
I live in California.
All right, look. Hey, anybody out there? All different kinds. So, I got one more for you. What's your favorite quote? Go.
Free your mind and the rest will follow.
free your mind, and the rest will follow. I did very good not to break out singing it as I said
Yes.
it just then.
See?
So, listen, thanks for playing First Class Life Favorites. And here's the thing. Actually, some of those answers are going to be on our uniquely curated list, First Class Life Favorite Things. And if you want access to that list, that means you have to be a member of our Patreon community so that you can experience our reading list and our song playlist and place to travel and relaxing activity, okay? So you can get your puff on while you reading the book and listening to the song while you traveling to Pigeon Forge, okay?
Okay, in Indonesia right after.
Yes. So again, you can find our First Class Life Favorite Things, that whole nicely curated list as a member of our private Patreon community. So make sure you subscribe because it is uniquely curated by our phenomenal guests and it's an ongoing running list. And I love updating it with all of the answers from our guests. So thanks for playing. Now let's hop back into this discussion because we've been talking about identity and pattern disruption and all of those things. And, sometimes there can be that inner struggle whenever you are going against the grain and you are living up to who you authentically are. And so I know that you have had some struggles with depression. So tell us a little bit about that journey, where it started, how you began to identify it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I feel like my depression started from when I was a child, and I didn't really identify it until I was able to speak to my inner child when I got older. So a lot of my depression came from, this is going to be weird. I may be a little weird, y'all.
Hey, we keep it raw and uncut on the First Class Life show.
It mainly came from religion. Because, if anybody's familiar with human design, I actually found out last year about what human design was. And when you look at your human design, you actually kind of see these different portals in your body. And one portal was an emotional portal. And mine is totally open and undefined, which means that I absorb emotions heavily and I could feel things that other people can't feel, even things for them that they can't feel for themselves. Some people may call that drama queen, right? But it just means I have to operate differently and I'm stimulated differently. And when I'm overstimulated, I have to be mindful and aware of that, right? So I can pattern disrupt like we talked about earlier. But when I was a child, I found that my mom and my brother would oftentimes refer to me as a crybaby or a drama queen. And all those things sound really small. When you constantly feel like there's something wrong with the way you express your emotions, I think that affects you in the long run because you grow up thinking, well, let me not cry or people then tell you, you know how some people aren't criers. So when you cry, they're looking at you like, oh God, here she goes. Or they know that you're going to cry. So they know your pattern and they'll think it's premeditated. I started to feel like, dang, I can't win or I can't lose. You don't show emotion, you have a problem. You do show emotion, you have a problem. People take advantage of you. People think you are vulnerable. People think you can be easily misled. And I found that to be, really interesting from being a child and growing up. The other thing is, I think from moving and also just being different, I found that I lived in my head a lot, which now I'm realizing could be something I have an autistic client and she's helps women who are neurodivergent. And she's like, you may want to get tested. You may want to get an evaluation. And so what I'm realizing is that I didn't get the proper testing and evaluations as a child because in our community as a Black and brown girl, in our community, getting tested and evaluated has a stigma against it. So when I was in fifth grade and my teacher wanted me to be evaluated, my mom didn't want that to happen. She didn't want her baby girl, to be labeled. And I appreciate her for that. And she did a really good job with us, educating us. but that still caused me not to have the help that I needed to know if I have ADHD or if I'm dyslexia or am I on the autism spectrum, because those titles scare people, right? Instead of them looking at it like an opportunity. So constantly feeling like I'm isolated led to me feeling depressed. I dealt with more things in my head than I dealt with in the world. So someone else may be poor or have, like, you ever heard somebody's story and they have a really like intense story. You're like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Can we curse?
You're right.
I was like, darn, like your story is wow. Like it's wow. I can't even believe you made it this far. I can't even relate. I had clothes on my back. I had food in my belly. No matter how challenging my mom's financial situation was, she always provided for us. But some of the things that I had to deal with mentally were so hard. I felt like I had a hard life.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the things that I felt like, I dealt with. And that's where the depression started. And then getting older, you just have identity crisis. You deal with hard or challenging things, and that translates to you as depression. So I've never been clinically tested for it, but I found myself in ebbs and flows with being very down about things and having to really pull myself by my bootstraps and really elevate myself.
Yes, I love that you are talking about this, because there are a lot of undiagnosed depressives out in the world, right? That do go through those exact same things. And as you were talking, it made me think of one of my friends who felt like she didn't have a hard life. And so she doesn't have a story, especially in her business, as far as connecting with clients and things like that. And I often have to remind her, like, just because your trauma looks different than my trauma or someone else's trauma doesn't minimize your trauma, because we've all been through some type of trauma. It's just identifying what that trauma is and where it stemmed from and how we are behaving as a result of that. So what advice would you give to any leader out there that might be kind of thinking like, well, dang, have I been traumatized or what? Like, that's relating with your story. Like, maybe they haven't been abused or like in a life-threatening situation, but they still kind of feel like, I don't know what's happening.
Exactly. Like, I would say, first, know that you're not alone, even though you may feel alone. Because you're asking, like, what are some things to kind of get through, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the first part. Like, just understanding that, because I think depression will really have you out here thinking, like, I'm the only one that's going through this and nobody understands how I feel. And so I would say, like, you're not alone. That's the first thing. And the second thing I would say is, please consider therapy. And I say that because, not to be like cliche about therapy, but for me, therapy is a way to speak about your problems to somebody that isn't biased. Because when you talk to your friends or when you talk to your family and things of that nature, there's only so much help that they can really offer you because they know you, right? And so because they know you, they're going to offer you very jaded advice, whether they want to or not. It's not going to be clinical. It's not always going to be what you need to hear. And maybe you don't need to hear anything at all. And when you talk to your family, they want to talk to you. They want to give you advice. But the thing about therapy is it gives you a safe space to speak without somebody having to have a response. So invest as a high achiever, because I know we're talking to our high achievers for sure. You invest a lot in yourself. You invest in your business. You invest in, your professional development. You've invested in your resume. You got ebooks and courses and coaches. But where's the therapist? That's self-care. Self-care is prioritizing your mental health. And I'm speaking to myself with that. And so once you do realize that you may have endured some level of depression, I think, like you said earlier, firstly, like not dumbing down your story. Someone else's trauma is not your trauma, and we don't have to trauma compete. Like, who's got the best trauma? Like, no. We don't want to do that part. But what we do want to do is say, regardless of what level of trauma I have, we all have something we need to deal with, and I want to deal with mine consciously. And with that, that gives us the opportunity to really seek therapy and also understand that we're not alone in what we're going through.
Absolutely. I love that. I want to deal with mine consciously because those things that we've experienced as a child, they do become our subconscious beliefs. And whether people know it or not, most people don't. Ask me how I know, because I'm a mindset expert, right? But our subconscious drives about 95% of our behaviors. And so we think that we're in control when really we're not. And then that's why we find ourselves in these cycles where we say we want something different, but we got the same story, different characters. And it's like, why can't I get the story that I'm trying to create? It's because you have to go back and you have to heal and identify all of those past experiences, those past traumas, those subconscious limiting beliefs. You have to pattern disrupt, like you said earlier, and you have to do the work to create the life that you desire. Speaking of, I know that you are doing phenomenal work. So tell us how you got into your journey of the phenomenal work that you're doing specifically for Black entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. Another weird mashup. I guess the name of the game is Be Weird today. But I'm probably one of very few gerontologists that you'll probably meet in your lifetime. And so you may even be saying to yourself, what is that? So a gerontologist is someone who has invested some time in studying the longitudinal life cycle of an older adult, understanding that older adults, especially prior to the pandemic, are statistically going to be the largest part of our population in the nation. And so we're growing to be older than what we traditionally been in the last 100 years. So I invested into learning about gerontology through my profession in healthcare, which oddly led me into really leaning into Black entrepreneurship. And I'll tell you how. I've always been an entrepreneur before I even knew the word. And it started with just understanding the exchange for time and money as a young child. So whether it meant babysitting cats, babysitting kids, braiding hair, mowing lawns, watching houses, watching dogs. Those things got me allowances, and those allowances got me things that my mom didn't want to buy me. Oh, you don't need a cell phone. That's fine. I can get the money to go do it, So that's how I got my first cell phone at 13, is I bought it myself. Now, did I need her phone plan and all that stuff? Yeah. But no, so I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit. I studied entrepreneurship and business administration in my undergrad, but master's degree level, I leveled into gerontology and built out my career in healthcare. But here's what I found in my research. If anybody has a master's or a doctoral level degree, shout out to my high achievers out there that did all the degrees. Hey. That research is pretty heavy once you get in the graduate level. And so I found my research area being on hospice and palliative care for Black and brown families, how to leverage social media to teach them about advanced care planning so that they don't wait until they have a life-threatening illness to plan next steps, to wait until you become elderly to plan your aging process. And so through that research, I realized that Black and brown people had a lot of disparities in healthcare. And when you dug deeper into that, those disparities were not just tied to historical, racism, oppression, and segregation, but They led to the fact that we didn't have the financial stability in our communities a lot of times to have quality healthcare experiences. So those disparities led to disease and led to, health issues. And that led me into entrepreneurship, oddly enough. If you don't know what hospice is the field of death and dying. So I worked with people that were dying typically or had very life-threatening illnesses. But seeing families with money die versus people that were in poverty die is two different experiences. And I'm telling you, dying without money is undignified. It is undignified. So I'm like, I know I'm doing this excellent work. People used to call me an angel. Oh, you're an angel, Jalynn, at what what you do. But I'm like, yeah, but longitudinally, we couldn't stop this. We're all going to die, but we all should have dignified deaths and experiences, not only for the person that's dying, but for the family members and the people that they're leaving behind. You should see your loved one have a dignified experience. And it comes with finances. And a part of the financial house for the multimillionaire is business and ownership. So I'm like, I have business degrees. I did the research. I understand the characteristics, the psychographics, the demographics of the target audience. I can serve these people. I can ensure earlier on in their life cycle that they're able to build sustainable businesses to ensure that we have dignified deaths. That's a weird mashup, I know. How it happened.
I like it. But it made sense. You explained it and it made sense. Like there was a flow and it went like I got it. And I know that the First Class family that is tuned in right now, they also caught it because we're some smart mamma jammas, right? And so I love that you are specifically targeting in on that area. And I would like to know about which factor of First Class life resonates with you, especially after hearing that and then hearing the rest of your story. For those of you that are new to the First Class Life show, First Class Life is actually an acronym of the key characteristics and skills that you want to embody into your entire lifestyle to be able to create a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. And we're not going to go over what each of those letters means, but if you want to find out, make sure you go back and watch the very, very, very first episode of the First Class Life show, or you can visit firstclasslifeshop.com and just purchase the book, First Class Life, 10 Key Factors to Creating Your Life Full of Purpose, Fulfillment, and Happiness. So with that said, Coach Jalynn, I definitely want to know, which key factor do you feel that you resonate with the most?
Confidence.
Tell us why. Tell us why.
Confidence is the cornerstone of everything that we do. It takes massive confidence to wake up each morning and to decide that you want to work for yourself. And because by trade, every entrepreneur is in sales. You can't get around it. You can't get around relationship building. You can't get around really having to show up. And you have to have confidence to do all of those things. It takes confidence to leave a full suite career where you're like a teach from the C-suite, and you're confident enough to quit and leave that on the table and decide that you can pursue this greater vision. I just went and visited my old boss last month in California. I went out to California on business, and I decided to stop by because those are my people before I quit. And she asked me a question. She asked me about my business. I told her, and she knew that it was my first 6-figure year, but she felt like I could make way more money by staying at her place. But what she doesn't realize is what I know is if I'm making 6 figures for myself at this job, what do you think I'm making for you? How much you think my head is my bounty is worth? If I'm making you, you're paying me $100,000. There's a reason why you would pay me $100,000 as a base salary, then bonuses, then commissions, then, it's a reason. And she asked me, so how far do you think you would be if you would have stayed with us? And I cackled mentally because I wouldn't disrespect her in her face.
Yeah, because she's sounding real side eye, all the way eye.
Where would I be? Where I'm at right now, I surely wouldn't be here because I wouldn't have had the confidence to step out on faith, which is also one of your acronym letters. I wouldn't have had the confidence to step out on faith and decide that I can make comparable money to my career in rapid timing, right? By deciding to do it myself. I had no idea. Remember, I used to charge $14.95. That's $14.99. So I've had to really take some steps to be able to command high five and mid four figures for my services now. That's a whole different girl. That's confidence. That is confidence to know that you can serve people and actually render results that they feel is valuable and comparable to that high of a value figure that some people get paid in 1 month for their job or in 1 year, right? So it's definitely confidence for me.
I like it. And I could see that, like, if you think back through this episode, I can see where it's exuded just all throughout what you're saying, how you say it, all of the things, even taking it back to you with blue hair as a child. Like, yes, I agree. I like that. I like that one for you.
Thank you.
So I need you to tell the First Class family about your services, your products. What do you have for them if they want to get them some Coach Jalynn in their life?
If you want to get you some Coach Jalynn in your life, all you have to go to is facebook.com/Coach Jalynn. Like, really? That's I could give you a website. I could give you a landing page. I can give you a freebie, but everything you'll ever need is on my page. And then we're really friends. We're connected at that point. And there's a video that's always pinned to my page that explains my services and really tells you who I am in depth. But basically, I have a community for people that really want to be surrounded by community as they reach their revenue goals and really level up their mindset as well as their capacity to receive in their business. I serve people privately and in very niche programs for new and pivoting service providers. And then my highest Rolls Royce level is if you're an established business owner and you are offering events or experiences of any sort, there is no way you should leave your attendee or your participant without you long term. So I like to help you convert your attendee to a client by really up-leveling the experience in the sales enrollment process at your event. So really showing you how to make the most money and profit and transformation in your experience. So if you go to facebook.com/Coach Jalynn, that's where I am. And I'm pretty much Coach Jalynn on everything.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah. Well, my next question was going to be, how can the folks contact you? I think you just gave us a little bit, but if there's anything else.
That's that. I'm Dare to Be a Black Millionaire, BLK Millionaire on Instagram, but Coach Jalynn will still pop me up as well.
Sweet. Do you have any final words for the First Class family?
Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself, even after you watch this podcast. If you're feeling froggy and today's the day that is the pattern disruption day, just sit with yourself and decide where you want to start. Don't try to figure it out all in one day, because reinvention is a journey. Identity is a journey. It will never be figured out. It's not a math. Like, it's not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. It's more one of those ones like FX, B, Y, Z, X times multiplied divided by square root of equals Jalynn. So time with the formula, switch out the variables, do whatever you need to do. I just want you to be happy. I want you to be so happy that it transmits into joy. And happiness can be fickle. It can go up and down. But one thing that doesn't change as much is joy and peace. Those are stabilizers. And once you kind of start doing that pattern disruption, you start finding that you're more happy because you're being honest with yourself and with other people. So those are my final words. Just reinvent yourself every day.
Yes. Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. All right. So make sure you reach out to Jalynn Jones, the Coach Jalynn, and, find out more about her services. Follow her on the social medias, up in these internet streets. And also make sure that you subscribe to be a member of our private Patreon community where you can get bonus footage from the lovely Coach Jalynn. You can get our first class favorite things list and more. So you will find all of Coach Jalynn's information in the description. So no worries there. For my audio listeners, that's JALYNN. Got it? Capiche. But you can still check out the description. I know that you can be doing anything in the world right now, but you are here with us and we are grateful for you and your presence. Thank you for being a part of the First Class family. And until next time, make sure that you are out there creating your first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness, and know that you deserve it. Bye. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. But please be sure to subscribe to the First Class Life Show. And don't forget to rate, leave a review, and join our private community so that we can continue to provide you with great personal development conversations to help you maximize your impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. You deserve it. Do you want to be surrounded by other high-achieving women who are working on their goals just like you? Are you looking for your circle that's passionate about their own growth yet still wants to see you shine? Do you desire to be supported through collaborations and connections instead of competition? Then Cowork and Chill is your place to be. Cowork and Chill is a hybrid of virtual co-working and virtual networking. It's a community of women who are striving to build living legacies. This is the space to create meaningful relationships with other equally yoked women where you're being poured into just as much as you pour out. So if you're looking for your crew for supportive accountability, then sign up today at coworkandchill.com. That's COWORKANDCHILL. coworkandchill.com.